Hello, welcome back. This is Fire Scratch,
This is Baka Dinosaur.
and today we're going to do part one of a jump scare sequence. So today we're going to use the Skeleton Princess as a monster, and show how they can, through her event, is all you need to go through by clicking on her event. That's where most of the jump scare happens, is with her movement speed, her touch, and what she triggers. Like she can trigger the death scene for the character.
So first, let's go ahead and talk about events a little bit more. Now, in the last one, we saw the option to click on the Skeleton Princess with the action button and have her text show up. However, this is not the only way to trigger the event. There's 4 actual other event trigger options. First, we have the action button, which you've already seen. We have player touch, which is where the player touches the event. Event touch is where events touch other events. We're not going to use that in this tutorial. But we also have 2 other very different kind of triggers, auto run and parallel. Now, auto run works in a sort of cutscene fashion, in that whatever happens inside the event will happen and continue and finish without the player being able to do any additional inputs, like moving around or selecting things or opening their menu. Parallel, on the other hand, will run as well as allowing the player to move around and open their inventory and do all kinds of other things.
Yeah, so player touch is the automatic touch button. So if the monster catches up to the character, it'll automatically on touch trigger the death scare or the jump scare screen. Then you don't want an action button to be on that because it's just like you have to press that monster in order to die, which no one would ever do. And for auto run, it's like a cutscene literally. So it pans over to what's happening, it stops the game, goes back to you, it continues the game. Parallel is similar, except things go on at the same time where you can run around and interact with them on loop. It's just the same stuff you see in all RPG games as well as current day games. Cutscenes take you out, put you back in, just the way they're called.
Now, for this particular tutorial, we're going to be using the player touch trigger, which will allow us, when the Skeleton Princess touches us, to automatically play her dialogue, just to let us know that it's actually working.
Yes. Same thing can be said for the same character below characters above characters. It's how you trigger the touch of each other. So same as character will automatically have her touch our person. Below will be below the feet of the character, above will be above the character, which won't work for this type of thing. They can work with puzzles and other types of objects you can touch on for later on events. But for jump scares or interactions, you want to use same as character priority.
Now, let's talk a little bit about autonomous movement. So far, we've only been dealing with fixed events. These are events that don't move in space. They simply stay where they are, and they might turn to the player when they're clicked on, but that's about it. There's 3 other options for autonomous movement, however: random, approach, and custom. Now, random movement simply has the event move in random directions, no particular rhyme or reason to it. This is generally used for NPCs that are wandering about or a wandering monster. They don't actually have any intelligent design behind their movement. On the other hand, approach is a little different. They will constantly move towards the player. It's possible to also have them constantly move towards another event, but for now we'll just focus on the standard version, which moves towards the player. And then finally, you have custom, which, when selected, will allow you to actually have this normally grayed out route come up. When clicked on route, you will see a new window pops up, which will give you a list of movement controls. This allows you to give very, very precise and particular looping movements to your event. The generally traditional used ones are your move down, move left, move right, and move up, which allow you to make a variety of circles, paths, patterns, or other movements for your event. You can use this for a monster inside of a labyrinth, or for players having to be moved around in very particular ways, or other events moving in very particular, constantly uninterrupted patterns.
Yes, we will show you how to do this after we do the approach type. The approach type is a lot more direct, a lot more just following and honing on the character like a parent-child object. It's just an easier way to just like get to the character without having to put a lot of coding in and put a lot of following in. It's just an easier, cleaner way that RPG Maker uses for us. Custom has got a lot more build to it where you just make your own pattern. We'll show you both ways of how they both work with it. So right now I'm just going to click on approach and move next to the speed and frequency of how we move.
Now, speed and frequency are the 2 ways that the event's going to move. For speed, it gives you a rough idea of how quickly it's going to move from one position to the next, while frequency gives you an idea of how often it's going to try to move. once it's actually in a neutral, non-moving position. A little complicated, but since everything here is tiles and grids, it'll make more sense as you play around with them.
Yeah, so you want, if for an easier way and for like a smaller jump scare, the slower with the normal frequency is a perfect type for the player to get away without having too much of a slow moving movement speed for the monster. This just shows you like an even, smooth glide over each cube and block of the grid. If you speed with a lower frequency, so they're going to move very quick but stop with each type of cube. It's kind of like a jarring type thing where they're kind of jumping from one to the other one trying to get to. It can create like a scare effect, especially if you're doing like a glitching effect with the lights black out and whatnot. It can definitely work for it. Or the opposite way where they move really slow in speed but high in frequency, where they move terribly slow to the cube, then speed up, and slow down and speed up the opposite way. You can definitely mess around with it, see which one looks better. Looks better for the storyline, looks better for the lighting. This is just the fun you can have with it. But the standard would be just a little bit slower for speed with the normal frequency. We'll enable that and see what it looks like. Save it, of course. And this can happen not with just one monster. You can put multiple monsters at the same time coming after you, or duplicate and copy the process as well. We're just going to do one for now. And as you see, without me moving, the monster is trying to get to me through the hole. It's not an intelligent monster, mind you. It doesn't know how to get around it, but if I move out down this way, definitely going to get to me, knowing I'm there, coming towards me automatically. Slowly, I can definitely get away with it with no problem. So if it's too easy, you can always up the speed. And I change direction. She's going to come up here. I'm past her. She's going to come down here. Definitely knows how to follow the character efficiently, but easy to get around. Especially if there's a bunch, though, it's very hard to move around with like 20 of them on the screen. So if I walk up to her, I didn't hit any action button. It just automatically jumps into her event that's already connected to her, which is her dialogue thing. So if it's her dialogue, it'll bring up the dialogue speech bubble. If not, it'll bring up a death or a jump scare if we have that triggered on there. But anything that's on the person, the event will pop up. If there's no event, nothing will happen. Next, this is the approach line. We're going to try the custom line and see how well that works with trying to get to the player as well as moving.
So, we're going to go to our route once we have our custom set. And we're going to give her a really simple one. We're going to have her go down 3 times. We're going to have her move right twice. We're going to have her move up three times. And then move over to the left twice. And this should have her move in a simple circular pattern constantly around and around.
Now you can see we can repeat the movement, so it's on loop, or skip it if it's a fixed object and we can trigger it later. But we'll just keep that as it is right now. Hit OK. Hit OK again. Save it. And see what happens when we play it. Now definitely want to make sure the map, you know the map very well, and you can just move it aside to take a look. See how well the person, what's moving around, because this is an automatic mapping, and if there's a 5-wall thing around the monster, and if it can't get through the wall, it's not going to work very well. This is a very open plane, so she can definitely move around as much as we can allow her to.
Now we see her moving down 3 times, moving over twice, moving up 3 times, moving over twice, and then just repeating the process ad infinitum.
It's definitely a good way for patrol or guarding systems, step-by-step objects or monsters as well. It doesn't have to be people. This is definitely a good way to customize your take on the story, your take on the movement, your take on the characters, and put your own little spin in it. You can definitely modify and have fun with it later. That's what the fun part of RPG Maker is. You can have a lot of fun just by playing around with art, design, and style. Alright, let's go with that. So again, this is part 1 of the jump scare tutorial. The next one will have what causes the event to happen. So if we walk into a room, we say something, and then immediately we get jump scared by the monster trying to chase us. Or if we moved on the wrong panel or touched a wrong item, it causes a jump scare to happen, like in the witch's house it does. Usually has a master of doing puzzles and jump scare options for the wrong move. That is a good example to go off of there. But right now, we're going to leave it at that and see you next time. Again, this is Fire Scratch.
This is Baka Dinosaur.
See you then, guys.